Good morning, children. Today we have a new lesson in English 5, Quarter 1, Week 2 about sound devices and figure of speech. Identify and give that specific sound of the following pictures. Next picture. Here's the sound. Next picture. Here's the sound. Picture. Here's the sound. Next. Here's the sound. Next picture. Next picture. And the sound is. Last picture. What would the world look or feel like if there are no sounds? Here's an example answer. If there are no sounds, no wind in the trees, no birds singing, no car noises, and even your footsteps would be silent, it would feel super still and really peaceful. Why do you think sounds are important? Sounds are very important for talking and reading. If you can't hear sounds, you can't learn how words work or share your thoughts. What other sounds coming from nature and machine do you know? Here's an example answer. I know the sounds of animals, flowing water, breezing wind, and swaying trees. I also know the sounds of electrical appliances like the fridge, TV, radio, and washing machine. The sounds we hear from nature and man-made things can also be read in different pieces of literature. These are called onomatopoeia. Authors often use creative techniques to make their writing come alive. One powerful way they do this is by appealing to our five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. This helps readers imagine scenes more vividly and feel more connected to the story or poem. This technique is called sensory language or imagery. I will show you different tongue twister scenes on screen. You take turns in reciting each tongue twister without committing mistakes. She sells seashells by the seashore. Your turn. How can a clump cram in a clean cream can? Your turn. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Your turn. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Your turn. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said, "This butter's bitter. If I put it in my butter, it will make my butter bitter." So she bought some better butter, better than the bitter butter, and it made her butter better. What did you notice about the tongue twister pieces? Here's the sample answer. I noticed that tongue twisters are hard to say because they repeat the same sounds and make your tongue slip. They are fun and help you speak better. What similarities can you pinpoint as regards the vowel and consonant sounds in each tongue twister? They have the same vowel and consonant sounds that repeat many times. That's why they are tricky to say fast. Please match the figures of speech in column A with their corresponding descriptions in column B. Write the capital letter of the correct answer in the blank provided. Here are the column A: alliteration, hyperbole, simile, personification, metaphor, and then assonance. Letter A, it compares two different things using the words like or as. For example, her smile was as bright as the sun. Letter B, it is a figure of speech that directly refers to one thing by mentioning another to suggest they are alike. For instance, time is a thief. Letter C, it attributes human characteristics to non-human things or abstract concepts. For instance, the wind whispered through the trees. Letter D, it involves extreme exaggeration for emphasis or effect. For example, "I've told you a million times." Letter E, it is a figure of speech in which the sound of a word imitates its meaning. For instance, buzz or clung. F, it is the repetition of initial consonant sounds in neighboring words or syllables. For example, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. G, it is the repetition of vowel sounds in neighboring words or syllables. For example, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. H, it is the repetition of consonant sounds, especially at the end of a word. For example, stroke of luck. Let's now proceed to the different figures of speech that are commonly used in literature. A figure of speech is when we use words in a special way to make our language more interesting or to create a certain effect. Figures of speech make language more colorful and engaging. It is like adding a special touch to what we say or write to make it more creative and fun, thus creating an impact. We can find figures of speech not just in stories and poems, but also in greeting cards, advertisements, newspaper headlines, and even in the way people talk about sports, music, and other topics they are passionate about. Lee Charts has provided a clear way on defining the commonest figures of speech. A metaphor is a figure of speech that makes a comparison between two unrelated things by stating that one thing is another thing, even though this is not literally true. Metaphors are tropes because their effect relies not on the mechanics of the sentence, but rather on the association created by the use of the phrase cats and dogs in a non-literal manner. A simile, like a metaphor, makes a comparison between two unrelated things. However, instead of stating that one thing is another thing, as in metaphor, a simile states that one thing is like another thing. To stick with cats and dogs, an example of a simile would be to say they fought like cats and dogs. A hyperbole is an intentional exaggeration of the truth used to emphasize the importance of something or to create a comic effect. An example of a hyperbole is to say that a backpack weighs a ton. No backpack literally weighs a ton, but to say my backpack weighs 10 pounds does not effectively communicate how burdensome a heavy backpack feels. Once again, this is a truth because its effect comes from understanding that the words mean something different from what they literally say. In alliteration, the same sound repeats in a group of words, such as the sound in Bob brought the box of bricks to the basement. Alliteration uses repetition to create a musical effect that helps phrases to stand out from the language around them. Assonance is a scheme which vowel sounds repeat in nearby words such as the E sound in the proverb. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Like alliteration, assonance uses repeated sounds to create a musical effect in which words echo one another. It's a scheme because this effect is achieved through repetition of words with certain sounds, not by playing with the meaning of words. Consonance is a figure of speech in which the same consonant sounds repeats within a group of words. An example of consonance is traffic figures on July 4th to be tough. Consonance occurs when sounds, not letters, repeat. In the example above, the F sound is what matters, not the different letters such as PH used to produce that sound. Consonance does not require that words with the same consonant sounds be directly next to each other. Consonance occurs so long as identical consonant sounds are relatively close together. The repeated consonant sounds can occur anywhere within the words, at the beginning, middle, or end, and in stressed or unstressed syllables. Personification is a type of figurative language in which non-human things are described as having human attributes, as in the sentence, "The rain poured down on the wedding guests, indifferent to their plans." Describing the rain as indifferent is an example of personification. Because rain can't be indifferent, nor can it feel any other human emotion. However, saying that the rain feels indifferent poetically emphasizes the cruel timing of the rain. Personification can help writers to create more vivid descriptions, to make readers see the world in new ways, and to powerfully capture the human experience of the world, since people really do often interpret the non-human entities of the world as having human traits. Next is onomatopoeia. This is a figure of speech in which words evoke the actual sound of the thing they refer to or describe. The boom of a firework exploding, the tick-tock of a clock, and the ding-dong of a doorbell are all examples of onomatopoeia. Note that these are just the most commonly used figures of speech in literature, and there are a lot more. These figures of speech help the writers to provide a deeper meaning into their poetry and create a beauty in the writing process. Let's now read The Familiar Sounds in Our Home by Rocky James G. Sarasua. Before I sleep at night, my mama would shh, shh, shh. While asleep, they hear me zzz, zzz, zzz. When I wake up, the white rooster will crow, "Tik-tilaok, tik-tilaok, tik-tilaok." Our cows would moo, moo, moo. Our ducks would quack, 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 quack. The minute Mayas will tweet, 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 tweet. Our pet brownie will bark, arf, arf, arf. These are the sounds that I listen to every morning. For the breakfast, my mama would heat up a kettle for their coffee. The whistling sound signals that the water is boiling hot as the sun. The crunchy cereals I bite munch the excited egg in the pan sizzle. And a burp, burp, burp means that I'm full. In silence, the sad shiny silver clock sounds tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Mama's vivacious vacuum cleaner thuds. The fabulous flower garden has buzzes from the bees. The birds chirp in the distant trees. When the sun sets, my energy resets. It's time to rest like a king. When the moon appears, lively and sweet, I am all ears. For the stories my mama will tell, for me to feel very well. And before I sleep at night, my mama would shh, shh, shh. While asleep, they hear me zzz, Let us answer the following guide questions. Number one, as described in the poem, what sounds does the poet hear every morning? Two, how does the poet describe the sounds of the rooster and the farm animals in the poem? Three, what does the whistling sound in the poem signify? 4. Describe the breakfast scene mentioned in the poem. What sounds are associated with breakfast? Number 5. What does the poet mean by the sad shiny silver clock sounds tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock? 6. How is the vacuum cleaner described in the poem? What sound does it make? 7. What sounds can be heard in the fabulous flower garden according to the poem? 8. What natural sounds are mentioned in the last stanza of the poem? 9. How does the poet describe the transition from day to night in the poem? 10. What feelings or emotions does the poet experience when listening to the stories told by Mama at night? Let's check. Number one, did you answer I hear the rooster go tik-tilaok? The cow says moo. The ducks goes quack quack. The little birds say tweet tweet. And our dog Brownie goes arf arf. Number two, did you answer? The rooster says, tik-tilaok. The cows go, moo. The duck says, quack, quack. And the birds go, tweet, tweet. Number three, did you answer? It means the water is really hot and ready for mama's coffee. Number four, did you answer? I hear the kettle whistle. My cereal go munch. The egg in the pan go sizzle. And I go burp, burp when I'm full. Number five, did you answer? It means the clock is ticking quietly and it sounds a little lonely. Number six, here's the example answer. It's called vivacious, which means lively and it goes woo. Seven, I hear the bees buzzing and the birds chirping in the trees. Number eight, did you answer the last part is quiet, but I listen to mama's stories and feel calm. Number nine, did you answer? When the sun goes down, I get sleepy. The moon comes up and I get ready for bed. 10, did you answer? I feel happy, safe, and very loved. Now let's read Trees by Joyce Kimmer. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Joyce Kimmer, Trees from Poetry 2. Guide questions. What is the central theme of the poem? Trees by Joyce Skimmer. 2. How does the poet describe trees in the poem? What words or phrases does he use? Number 3. Why do you think the poet chose to write about trees? What message is she trying to convey? 4. How do trees benefit the environment and living beings? 5. In what ways can we contribute to conserving trees and protecting the environment based on what you've learned from the poem? Sixth, identify examples of personification in the poem Trees. How does personification help convey the poet's message? 7. What is the difference between a simile and a metaphor? Can you find examples of both in the poem? 8. How does the poet use imagery to describe trees? What pictures do you see in your mind when you read the poem? 9. Find instances of alliteration or consonants in the poem. How do these techniques enhance the poem's rhythm and meaning? 10. Discuss the use of symbolism in the poem. What do trees symbolize in the context of nature and environmental conservation? Let's check. For number 1, did you answer? The poem is about how trees are really pretty and special. The poet says God made them and they are better than any poem. Number 2, did you answer? He says trees have a hungry mouth, leafy arms that pray, and robins living in their hair. He also says they look at God all day. Number 3, did you answer? I think he wanted to show that trees are beautiful and important. He's saying that God made trees and only God can make something so wonderful. Number 4, trees give us fresh air to breathe. They give homes to birds and animals. They give us shade when it's hot. Number 5, we can plant trees, not cut them down, and not throw trash around. We should take care of plants and animals too. Number 6, here's an example answer. The tree has a mouth and arms and hair like a person. It even looks at God and prays. That makes the tree feel alive and special. 7. A simile uses like or as. A metaphor doesn't. The poem says, a poem lovely as a tree. That's a simile. Number 8. I see a tall tree with green leaves. Birds sitting in a nest, snow on the branches, and rain falling on it. It looks calm and happy. Number 9, yes, like leafy arms, summerwear, and poems are made by fools. It sounds nice and fun to read. 10, trees mean life, nature, and God's amazing work. They remind us to love and care for nature. Please answer what I have learned. The topic that I know, blank. The topic I just learned, blank. The topic that I still want to learn more, blank. Let's check. Here's an example answer. I learned that figures of speech help writers give their poems more meaning and make their writing more beautiful and interesting. Next, the topic I just learned is sound devices. These are tools that writers and poets use to make their writing sound nice, musical, or more fun to read. Next, the topic that I want to learn more about is how symbolism is used in the poem. Write true if the statement gives a correct idea and false if otherwise. Figures of speech are important for the beauty of literature. 2. The tongue twister "She sells seashells by the seashore" is an example of alliteration. Number 3. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can is an example of hyperbole. Number 4. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers is an example of consonance. Number 5. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair is an example of personification. 6. The tongue twister Betty Butter bought some butter is an example of simile. 7. Alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds in neighboring words or syllables. 8. Hyperbole involves extreme exaggeration for emphasis or effect. 9. Simile directly refers to one thing by mentioning another to suggest they are alike. 10. Personification attributes human characteristics to non-human things or abstract concepts. 11. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in neighboring words or syllables. 12. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds, especially at the end of a word. 13. Onomatopoeia involves the use of words that imitate the sound they represent. 14. Metaphor compares two different things using the words like or as. 15. The tongue twister Betty Butter bought some butter exemplifies onomatopoeia. Let's check. Number 1, the answer is true. Number 2, true. Number 3, the correct answer is false because it's a tongue twister with alliteration, not a hyperbole. Number 4, the answer is false because it's an example of alliteration, not consonance. Number 5, the answer is false because it doesn't give human traits to a non-human thing. Number 6, the answer is false because it's an example of alliteration, not simile. 7, 8, true. Number 9, false, because this definition actually describes a metaphor, not a simile. 10, true. 11, true. 12, true. 13, true. 14, false, because this definition actually describes a simile, not a metaphor. Number 15. Number 15 is false because onomatopoeia means words that imitate natural sounds like buzz, bang, or meow. But in Betty Butter Bought Some Butter, the words do not imitate sounds. Instead, the tongue twister use alliteration, the repetition of the same beginning sounds. B.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.